right, time for us to go behind the headlines. And I saw this come across the news today that Tempe, Arizona is getting its first medical marijuana dispensary. This was from ArizonaCentral.com. And it's kind of one of those good news, bad news things. The good news, of course, getting a dispensary means lots and lots of patients there in Tempe, in that area, will now have a safe, secure place to choose from many, many different strains of marijuana for whatever ails them. The bad news, of course, is anybody in Tempe who has been growing their own now cannot. That's right. Arizona's got that special 25-mile halo rule, which means as soon as a dispensary goes online, anybody within 25 miles of that dispensary is no longer allowed to cultivate for themselves. That's just the way the law is written. And the original point behind it was to make sure that if the state balked and never opened any dispensaries, then patients would still be able to grow their own. The problem is this was the idea of thinking that the state would never want to go and have dispensaries was a thought that came from the 2000s when all these medical marijuana states had home grow, and that was the way medical marijuana was put together. Since 2010, we've seen that medical marijuana in the past 7 jurisdictions that have passed it have been going toward no home grow. The idea has been to monopolize and control the marijuana cultivation so it doesn't get diverted outside of the medical marijuana market. Knowing that now, in hindsight, we can see that there was never any need to fear that there wouldn't be dispensaries because that's the direction the governments want to go now. And in this direction, there's some amazing requirements that they have for these medical marijuana dispensaries. I was reading through this at Arizona Central, and they point out, first of all, that when someone wants to get into the dispensary, they have to go through one magnetically locked door into a small little holding room. Think of it like an airlock, right? Where there's 2 doors. And so you go in the first door and you're locked in to this little space where you have to show your ID and your medical marijuana card. And then the second locked door will open. So there's no possible way anyone could rush into the place or anybody that doesn't have the proper ID could get through. Very, very secured. And then, of course, there's bulletproof glass all throughout the dispensary, at the counters, like a check cashing place, I suppose, to protect the employees who are handling the money and dispensing marijuana. There are cameras recording every square inch of the place. Every transaction you make is videotaped, video recorded. They don't have the inventory right up there up front. They have some display for you, but all the inventory is kept in the back in a vault, freaking bank vault that they have to have for this stuff. And at the rear of the building, they've put in reinforced concrete pillars, and they've put planters, big concrete planters in the front of the building to discourage people from ramming their cars into the side of the wall to break into a place to steal the marijuana. They got cameras all over the parking lots outside and the rear, the front, the side. Anybody's going in or out is going to be recorded. And the state law requires that there's only one entrance for customers, even if there is another entrance for employee use in the building. However, in the city of Tempe, there can only be one entrance to a dispensary. As a result, the back door of this dispensary has been removed and bricked up. Now, I've got a little concern about that from a fire point of view. Everybody in this building, let's say there's a fire somewhere near that front door where the airlock is, everybody's going to die. There's no place, no other way to get out of the building. That's how secure we have to make medical marijuana. One way in, one way out. And if that way is closed, well, you're all going to die. And they require that anybody coming into the dispensary has to be 21 years old, despite the fact that in the state medical marijuana law, the requirement is only 18 years old. Now, as we look at all of this, it's not like I'm against it. I want our medical marijuana access points to be as safe as possible, to be as controlled as possible, to make sure, that we don't have people getting robbed, places getting robbed and becoming magnets for crime. But I think it's important that we look at why these dispensaries have to have so much more security than your typical liquor store. Now, I know there's some liquor stores, they got bulletproof glass and they have extra cameras and so on, but it's not so required of the liquor store. It's not set in statute for the liquor store. It's up to the business owner, if he doesn't want to get robbed, to come up with some decent security. What is it about people accessing their lawful medicine that makes it so dangerous that we have to protect it with such an extreme level of security that we don't even require for Bacardi 151. And the reason, of course, is prohibition. The reason, of course, is that people who want to use marijuana who aren't sick will pay lots of money to be able to use that marijuana. It's because marijuana, because of prohibition, whether it's medically allowed or not, because of prohibition, costs, $400 an ounce in some places. It's because we've made the cost and the value of marijuana so much more than it actually should be. We've created such a profit potential in this, where if you can steal a pound of weed in Arizona and take it east, you can sell it for 3 times what it's worth in that state. So we can continue to build walls and concrete pillars and bulletproof glass, and, we can take people's thumbprints and, check their retinas, whatever the hell else you want to put in for security. But no matter how strong a security you put in, none of that takes away the original reason why people want to break in and get marijuana. Now, of course, there is a simple solution to this. There's a very easy way to make marijuana something that wouldn't require such levels of security. And that, of course, is the legalization of marijuana and the commercial production of marijuana. Marijuana is a leaf crop. That's a bud crop. Yeah, I know. But work with me. When they talk about agriculture, they talk about leaf crops and fruit crops and other types of crops. And the way that you would harvest and manufacture and process marijuana is not unsimilar to how one might harvest and process tea or tobacco or any other sort of leaf product. Dale Geringer from California Normal has done a study on estimating this and has said that if marijuana were truly legal and there were no cultural compunctions against it, there were no prohibitions against it, if it could be grown just like any other crop, it might cost $1 to $2 an ounce at the retail level and pennies at the wholesale level to produce marijuana. And when was the last time anybody felt a huge need to create massive security around asparagus or zucchini? Nobody thinks that, because zucchini and asparagus are cheap enough for anyone who wants to buy it and pretty ubiquitous in people's gardens or mountain roadsides or for the people who want to pick it. There's no profit motive. There's no incentive to want to rob asparagus or these crops. And that's the way marijuana could be too. It's the prohibition that's the problem, people.
Not the plan.
Makes me want to smoke some of it, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where's my hat?
We'll get right to that.